Hello, young people. What do you think when you hear the word miracle? Do you think miracles are real? The Bible tells us that Jesus performed many amazing and wonderful miracles during his years teaching and healing people, which acted as signs pointing towards his identity as God's Son. Jesus' power to perform these miracles came from the power he had from God. He was able to do amazing, impossible things. But Jesus actually said in Luke chapter 18 verse 27, "What is impossible with man is possible with God." The power he had as God's Son gave him the power to do the impossible. And many people saw these things and were completely amazed. Some of the accounts of Jesus' miracles include a man born blind gaining his sight when mud mixed with spit was rubbed on his eyes. A raging storm was calmed by one word from Jesus. After being dead and buried for 4 days, a man was raised back to life when Jesus called for him. A man who had been paralysed his entire life and unable to move got up and started walking in front of a room full of people because his friends took him to Jesus. A woman who had been bleeding for 12 years was completely healed just when she touched the rim of Jesus' cloak. In the middle of the desert, a rock began pouring out water that kept thousands and thousands of people and animals alive. A sea parted so that thousands of people could cross on dry land to get to safety. Are any of these situations explainable without God? A miracle is defined as an event that is inexplicable by the laws of nature, and so is believed to be supernatural in origin or an act of God. Basically, a miracle is a situation or event that can't be explained by anything other than being brought about by God. Miracles are talked about all through the Bible, from the Old Testament where water poured out of a rock and sustained people and seas parted to let them cross, all the way to the New Testament where we see Jesus healing people, giving back their sight, and even bringing people back from the dead. When we look at the world, it can be easy to fall into the trap of just looking on the surface, looking at what we can see, hear, smell, or touch. But the amazing fact is, we have a God who looks beyond the two-dimensional. He sees the bigger picture and has complete control over everything in it. God isn't limited by the laws of nature. He made them after all. And the miracles that we see in the Bible give us a glimpse of God's power, authority, and perfect love for all of his people. Each of the miracles that Jesus performed had a distinct purpose to demonstrate his power over nature, his power to forgive sin, his power over sickness and health, and even his power to raise people back to life. When Jesus raised his friend Lazarus back to life after having been dead for 4 days, it was pointing the way that he would defeat death himself and be resurrected after his crucifixion. We might think that Jesus simply took pity on all of these people and cured them of their illness and pain, but often his miracles were performed to reveal more about who he is as God's Son. Obviously, Jesus does care about our physical health, but he also cares about our spiritual health too. When Jesus lived on earth, many people believed that if you were ill, it was because you had done something wrong and God was punishing you. So when Jesus went around healing people in front of large crowds of people, it was a sign that God was forgiving them for what they'd done wrong as well. Often when we look at the miracles in the Bible, we only look at the physical problems that are miraculously healed or made right. But we don't really look much deeper than that. For a man born blind, the blindness was only the physical problem. This man was a beggar. He wanted to do more than just physically see. He wanted to spiritually see as well. His yearning was to see Jesus. And Jesus saw that. His miracle to heal the man of his blindness went more than just skin deep. Jesus saw not only the physical problem, but he also saw what was going on in the man's heart. Jesus sees each of us. He sees what we need, and he still does miracles to this day. We might not see them in the same way that was seen 2,000 years ago, but Jesus does still do amazing things in people's lives today. Sometimes people think that if they follow Jesus and become a Christian, God will miraculously make all their problems disappear. There'll be no more pain or suffering. This isn't the case. Jesus doesn't promise that our lives will be perfect, free of pain and suffering, but he does promise that our new lives in heaven will be perfect and free of pain. When we put our trust in Jesus and ask him to restore our relationship with God, we are promised a place in heaven for all time. A place where our bodies will not fail us with illness or old age. A place where sadness and pain will never trouble us again. And a place where we get to spend the rest of eternity with Jesus. All we have to do is ask.